Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers, and welcome to another sudsy and clean-shaven episode of the So You Want to Be an Imagineer Historical Retrospective. This time, covering Season 7. So yes, I have shaven. The beard is gone. I'm still not sure whether or not that's a big relief or a big mistake, but after the serious Grizzly Adams look I had going on in the last video, I figured it was time for a change. But enough about my facial hair, let's get to what you guys really want to see. Season 7. This is probably, for quite a few of you, your all-time favorite season. I'd say that the streak from Season 6 to Season 8, those 3 seasons can really be classified as a sweet spot when everything just kind of fell into our lap and just came into place for really different reasons in all 3 cases. Season 7 is the first time where I just kind of shamelessly ripped off Survivor, and I was like, screw it. It's going to be fans versus favorites, which is, of course, Season 16 of Survivor, and we're also in the current fans versus favorite 2, Survivor Caramoans, right now. Last Tribal Council was freaking crazy, by the way, if anyone's watching. I love Malcolm, and yeah. Always gotta have the Red Sox shirt on Survivor night. But anyways, yes, this is the first time that we just kind of blatantly were just like, alright, we're really going with the Survivor format this season. It didn't take until one person dropping out, though. And the person that dropped off first off was MickeyFan5534. He's also the first person who was kicked off of Season 10. I don't know, it's like in Season 10 he really was trying and I felt bad for him. In this case, you know, it was just a matter of he just signed up and then a personal schedule got in the way. Not a big deal, happens all the time. He was in 15th place, so then we had 14 people left. Now, at this point, I noticed a big divide in the cast, and that was that we had 7 distinct, well, I mean, let's say technically at this point we had 6 distinct returning players, and then at that point 8 distinct new players, which is, it's really odd because if you look at seasons like Season 7 and Season 6, there were really quite a few new personalities, whereas these days I feel like we only get like 3 or 4 really memorable new people. But I digress. So anyways, you know, to even it out, the would-be, soon-to-be superstar, Hack2112, was switched over from being a fan to being a favorite. And the reason I did this was because he was already a judge on another contest that was running at the time, just called the Imagineer. It wasn't a takeoff of the Mouse Times contest or anything like that. It was just its own thing. It was actually run by Mater and Trevor A, who were kind of the Sagittarius and Imagineer 2017 of their day, but I'll get to those 2 later as well. Hey, so anyways, 7 fans, 7 favorites. Hack2112 was kind of just, I'll admit it was definitely a cheat. I even admitted it back then. It was pretty much a cheat. And this time, looky here, I'm actually prepared. I have it written down. Fans and favorites. Ha 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 ha. And I shall read it. Now. Alright, read it right now. So, kicking things off, the leader of the fans tribe was a member by the name of Monkey4057, who I'm sure most of you are familiar with. Definitely be talking more about him in his very distinct style later on. And then we had Twilight Roxas, Disney Sea Fan, Adventure Blue Dude, Disneyman88, Mickey Fan, no, not Mickey Fan 554. Scratch that, not Mickey Fan. Alex92. Those were the 7 fans. 7 favorites. The team leader was Jay Phelps. Then we had Disney Lover Forever, King Mickey, Jesse Studio, Trevor A, Mater A1143, and Hack2112. Haha. Preparation, people. I am so professional. Look at that. So the first person eliminated after the fans versus favorite concept started was Alex92. He actually dropped off shortly after we switched things off. He dropped out. It's unfortunate because I feel like he had some pretty good ideas. I saw a little bit of brainstorming from him before he had to leave, and he's one of the people that still kind of is kicking around and existing in the community, I believe, so I don't know. I'd love to see him actually get a chance to really sink his teeth into the game, so, you know, it'd be great to see him return. But the real interest in Project 1 existed over in the Favorites tribe. Now, you'd think that Jay Phelps is really an unconditional sort of team leader, and he was. Thing was, I promised him a team leader position after I kind of left him out of Season 6, which I kind of talked about in the last series of videos. And, man, he definitely delivered in the, you know, in the task of being an unorthodox team leader. I'm not sure many people talk about this or regard this as a, you know, as a big moment, but I think it's been kind of forgotten about. But in the first project of season of the Fans vs. Favorites, like I said, Jay Phelps was team leader. This was actually a season where people got to vote. The elimination system was that the team leader would nominate 2 people, but instead of the judges kicking someone off, the rest of the people would vote. Big Brother style, the team leader would only vote in the event of the tie. The nominees wouldn't vote. Team leader could also be kicked off, yada yada yada. Hope you guys got all that. So, Jay Phelps, what does he do? Well, he decides to nominate none other than the power couple of Mater and King Mickey. Keep in mind, this is a big force to be reckoned with, these two. Season 5, King Mickey drops out pretty much solely because Mater got eliminated pretty unjustifiably. Season 6, Mater proved himself to be a huge asset to the team. Worked really well with King Mickey, who was the original team leader on Team Ansem. These two were working really closely together. They were obviously aligned. I think that Jay Phelps taking a stab at them, trying to nominate them both, that's a huge power play. That's a huge strategic move that really gets overlooked. It backfired because the rest of the team voted him out, because like I said, team leaders were also vulnerable because they hold partial responsibility for losing a project. But I really think that that is one of the craziest moments we've had, just in terms of like, alright, right off the gate, this guy just decides to try and get out just straight up the 2 biggest threats on their team. Keep in mind, for future players out there, I'm just going to plant this little tiny seed. This is an interesting bit of strategy. From now on, we're actually not going to have straight-up team leaders. Instead, we're going to have individual project leaders, just like in Season 10. It's going to be rotating. You get to decide between yourselves who that project is going to be the team leader, and you can't be project leader again until everyone else has done so. Keep in mind, you know, when it comes to nominations, you don't necessarily just have to nominate who did the worst. It's up to you as the team leader. So you can be as strategic about that as you want. You can nominate power threats. And I don't know. It's just something that Jay Phelps tried to do. Obviously, Jay Phelps failed, but it's just interesting. It's really interesting. It was a juicy moment. So the next 2 people out were Twilight Roxas and then Disneyman88. Disneyman, I mean, he's just one of those people where it's like he really didn't contribute anything at all. I think he posted like once or twice and then pretty much dropped off the face of the earth, so it really wasn't a surprise that he got eliminated. Twilight Roxas, he's an interesting story because still to this day he's a very active member when it comes to the open brainstorming threads. He's very much like Big Disney fan in that I don't think he really gels with the game all that well. He loves working on his own and working on his own things, and more power to him for that, and I'm really glad he's still an active member of the community. And yeah, like I said, it's just, he's just one of those people where the game, I just don't think really fits him. At this point, the fans were down a couple people, so I decided to give them a little bit of just a little helping hand in the form of King Mickey. They decided to, I gave them a choice of who to bring over from the Favorites tribe to help them out, to swap over basically, and they chose King Mickey. This resulted in one of my favorite projects of the season, and the project we had was to design a carnival ride. Again, I really like projects that really push the boundaries of, you know, it's not Disney, it's not working on a Disney budget. I feel like the less of a budget you have, the more interesting and outside the box you have to think about these kind of projects. So what King Mickey came up with for the fans was definitely one of the big highlights of the season, and I think, if I remember correctly, it was kind of like it was crazy. It was like a hybrid zipper Ferris wheel thing. It was like I think it was like 2 levels. What I remember most about it was the way it was written. I mean, it really, just the writing style, it was like a short story, you know? It really just brought you there. It really gave you a sense of the rush and the adrenaline, the thrill that writing a ride like that would bring on you. So major props for coming out with that project. That's still one of the projects that sticks out in my mind. It'll definitely be on the top 25 projects of all time list, which, I'll get to sometime. At this point, I decided it was time for the teams to get swapped up. So, by a process that I honestly don't really remember, we ended up with 2 new teams, and gotten rid of them down. Preparation people. Look at that preparation. Oh my god. Oh my god. On Team Elias, we have Monkey, Disney Sea Fan, Adventure Blue Dude, Jesse, and Disney Lover Forever. And then on Team Technicolor, which is where things got really interesting, we had Mater, King Mickey, Trevor, Hack, and Mouseketeer Cole. This was a double elimination round. I believe the project was just a straight up Blue Sky project. Blue Sky projects are something that I kind of forgot to mention in the start of the video. It was the first project. It was also, of course, the swap project, and it was also the semifinals project was a Blue Sky project where you could just design whatever you want. This was a concept that I really thought I was going to use more, but ended up just kind of falling by the wayside, which is kind of sad. But, yeah, it's just, you know, it just leads to a lot of interesting ideas. Just a lot of freeform exploration of the imagination of the cast, really, which is what the game's all about when it comes down to it. You'll have to apologize because my memory about the creative projects this season were honestly a little bit spotty, except for a few occasions like King Mickey's Carnival project. So I really don't remember Team Elias's Blue Sky project that they had, but in 10th place was Disney Lover Forever. This might have been his last season playing. I believe it was. He kind of went out on a little bit of a whimper. I feel like Season 6 was one of his strongest seasons when he got the Lemonade Stand project up on his own. But, you know, I mean, Disney Lover Forever, he really is a solid, memorable character in the grand scheme of the game. He really is a likable sort of underdog, and he's also our first international player, so that's definitely got to count for something. But in 9th place, and this is where I'm going to end the video, this is what you've all been waiting for, the fall of Mouseketeer Cole. Now, Mouseketeer Cole, I mean, he's just genius. He's great. Like, in the early rounds of the game, I mean, he was really the person who was the driving force of the fans. He was the person that was giving the fans team even a chance. Monkey was the team leader, and Monkey was a pretty decent team leader. He was good at, you know, at compiling everything, at getting everybody to contribute their own individual things. It was really Cole's ideas and support and contributions that really brought their projects to shine. The thing about Cole, though, is that when he's got an idea, and he will run with it. So this particular idea involved lots and lots of time travel. It was mostly a dinosaur ride. You know what, Cole? I know you're probably going to be watching this, and I don't remember. I should remember more about this project than I do, because it's really one of the best projects we've ever had. It was definitely time travel orientated. Dinosaurs were definitely involved. It was a boat ride. I'm pretty sure it was similar to the Jungle Cruise. And it was just a home run, and Cole even did a bunch of concept art for it. The thing was, through and through, this was Cole's project. And on this team, we had the trio of Mater, King Mickey, and Trevor. Say what you guys will, I still believe this trio was a trio. King Mickey, I don't care what you say. You guys were clearly together. I don't want to antagonize here, obviously. King Mickey, you know I love you. But, yeah, they had a really hard time with the way that Cole just sort of took over this project. And I got private messages from all three of them saying that, you know, it was just, they just felt that they weren't getting their voices heard. They just felt that this was really Cole's project and not the team's project. And it was a big thing. I mean, it was like some of the most heated that I've ever seen the game get, in all honesty. It was, you know, and the way I responded to all these private messages, I was just like, look guys, that's the nature of the game. You've got to learn to adapt. You've got to work with each other, you know. In real life, I'm not saying that this game's a simulation of real life Imagineering. It's clearly not trying to be. But in real life, you've got to work with people you don't want to work with all the time. That's just part of the challenge of life. Just like in this game, one of the big challenges is working with projects and subject matter you don't necessarily feel like taking on. Oh, and a big part of all this, the part that I really should have mentioned in the beginning, was the fact that Mater and King Mickey, who were really at the forefront of this feud, they were really at each other's throats. They both had special powers. They both had powers that essentially allowed them to take themselves off the block if they were nominated for one round. The way they obtained this was, pre-season I did a little contest where I believe it was a write-up of, I want to say it was a write-up of what your favorite project was in the game's history, because at the time I was doing a top 10 favorite projects list on the So You Want to Be an Imagineer blog, which has long since been defunct. But, King Mickey got that power, and then at the start of the game, they were doing Blue Sky projects, and I said, if you guys want to send me a private Blue Sky project, and the best one, if there's multiple ones, the best person who sends me a Blue Sky project on their own, not contributing with the team, so that would be the challenge, would be to work on it by yourself and not be contributing to the team, will get themselves another diamond power. That's what I called it, the diamond power. Cole happened to get this power. The two of them were gunning for each other at this point. That meant that they were both getting votes. That meant that their diamond powers were essentially null and void. They canceled each other out in a way. So, because their special powers canceled each other out, I had to go with the actual votes. It was a 2-3 vote. I believe Hack did vote with Cole to eliminate King. I could be wrong about that. But in the end, Cole Younger ends up getting eliminated from So You Want to Be an Imagineer in 9th place. He goes out with a very dramatic speech that I never even got to read because he edited it down, within hours. He made a grand exit from the game, and he's one of the most memorable single-time people we've ever had. And he's a testament to the real-life attributes of So You Want to Be an Imagineer. After the game, he got himself into some sort of educational program. I'm not even going to pretend to know exactly the program he got himself into. But the fact of the matter is, just today on Facebook, I saw that he is actually going to be starting a real-life interning position as an Imagineer. I'd like to just personally congratulate him again. I think that's totally freaking awesome that a player in So You Want to Be an Imagineer is actually becoming a full, or has a chance to be a real-life Imagineer. It's just crazy. It's great. So, yeah, that was Cole, and at this point, Mater, King Mickey, and Trevor were in control of Team Technicolor. This is where I'm going to pause this. This is the halfway point of the season. This season's really crazy, people. I really love this season. So, yeah. Have a good night, and I'll see you soon with part 2. But after my, seriously grizzly